Hey Snapchat, this week I'm talking about fundraising from VCs. And what I want to talk about is what you do after you have your first meeting. If you didn't catch my earlier Snapstorms, you can find them on snapstorms.com, where I talk about the entire VC fundraising funnel. Today I'm specifically talking about what happens after you've had a first meeting or call. What do you do next? I call it engagement. Many people try to discourage you from talking to VCs too early. They tell you to wait until you're totally ready to talk to VC. What they're essentially proposing is if you look at a year, you have no contact, then a whole feeding frenzy in 2 or 3 months and no contact for the rest of the year. This can work, but it only works in very rare circumstances. If you happen to become a super hot company and many VCs are finding out about you all at the same time, this strategy is your best one. For everybody else, the 99.8% of startups, I recommend meeting VCs early, and you need to have a plan. Here's what I recommend. Don't just have one presentation deck and think that you're going to go from there to a decision. If you think about fundraising as a sales and marketing process, you should create a series of sales collaterals and a marketing campaign. For example, perhaps you develop a pitch deck for your first meeting, a product roadmap you walk through in a subsequent meeting. You might do a bunch of sales or usage or analytics data that you're going to do in an update meeting later. You might have a super important customer that would be interesting to talk to, or an industry analyst that you connect the VC with. The key to me is creating creative reasons why they should continue to see or engage with you either in person, or some of these subsequent sessions can be over Skype call or Google Hangout call. Anything you do to get more engagement. Engagement doesn't have to be face-to-face. You should plan some marketing stuff to come out during your process. For example, it isn't a terrible thing if you have some press releases come out while you're fundraising, or go and speak at some industry events, find speaking engagements or panels. Why not byline an article for local journals and see if you can send it around to various VCs? Never send group updates. If you're going to send out your articles, send them one-on-one to VCs with nice personal notes. Trust me, people see straight through mass campaigns, and no one wants to feel like they're engaged in a mass marketing campaign. Maybe you know some friends who are connected to VCs. Maybe they could share them on social media and try to get it on people's radar screen. When a VC is considering funding you, trust me, they have a million other things going on. You're just trying to keep on top of the engagement. Every time you're trying to ask for a little bit of their time and attention is a test point for them whether or not they're still engaged. Not answering emails, not answering phone calls is not a sign that they're disengaged. It might just mean they're busy and they're not prioritizing this, so you can politely get back to them and remind them that you're still out there. Don't be afraid of a VC passing. You're better off to have a firm no that they're not interested than a maybe that really means no. I'm going to share with you how, as a VC, I actually fundraise so that I can give you some ideas how to think about it. We create a whole series of materials that investors need to make a decision about whether or not to invest in our fund. Most VCs dump all their materials into what's called a data room, and then LPs come and suck out all the data and do a bunch of analysis. I refuse to do that, because if LPs suck all your data, then they have no reason to engage with you. It's not that I won't provide data. We provide all the data. I just want to know you're engaged in a two-way process before I give you all my materials. So the very first deck I send out is our strategy, and I send out a high-level document with our performance in it. After I send that, I won't send any more materials unless you at least agree to a meeting or a phone call. If you won't, you're not interested. After a first call or in-person meeting, I send you company overviews of all of our companies and how they're performing. Then my expectation is that you're going to meet our full team or do a deep dive with us. If you do that, then I'll send our fund returns, which is a detailed analysis of how our funds are doing. And then I want to confirm, are you interested? Being interested doesn't mean you're ready to say yes, it just means you're willing to do work. And if you're willing to do work, I'm willing to send you all my details. And I'm willing to send you deal attribution, meaning who sourced and who leads all of our deals. But then I got one more checkpoint. Most LPs ultimately want to call our references, just like we call your references. But I got to know that you actually have an approval process. I got to know what the process is. You don't have to guarantee me your answer is going to be yes. But if you can't explain to me your approval process and timing, it means to me you're not ready for references. At each stage of the process, some people drop out, and frankly, that's okay. They might not have budget. They may not like the fact that we're based in LA. They may not agree with our team or our strategy or our performance. Just like you, I have a funnel, and I need to have people in the top end of the funnel to have some people come out in the bottom. Many years ago, when I first started fundraising and I didn't have a lot of relationships with LPs, it took a long time to do this fundraising process. I'm now in the fortunate position, after many, many years of investing in LP relationships, that I can shorten the time cycle that we have to fundraise. So as it happens, I actually practice what I preach. We put in the hours, we go to the meeting. We've had years and years of engagement. And of course, every time we go through this fundraising process, we do marketing throughout. Now, it's not classic marketing because it's actually against SEC rules to market a VC fundraising, but here's what we do. All throughout the year, I put out content. I put out earned media. And this is very common for us to do it. We do surveys. I write articles and blog posts. I just make sure that during my fundraising process, the information that I put out is more likely to be of interest to LPs than entrepreneurs. So at the start of every year, I publish an LP survey. I publish a VC survey. This may be less interesting to you as an entrepreneur. You're not my customer. So there you have it. After the first meeting in venture capital, your job is to create engagement, create a reason why a VC is having a dialogue over time with you. Tomorrow, I'm going to suggest a strategy about how to handle multiple meetings at a VC firm, which of course is what you want.